All right, welcome back to a more impromptu version of the Drunken podcast. It is just Peter and I here tonight. We wanted to talk about two different RPG systems with the Alien RPG and Call of Cthulhu. We I've had a little experiencing Run a Call of Cthulhu before. We this weekend tried out Alien for the first time, and having a bit more on the horror, not power fantasy side of RPGs. We thought it'd be kind of fun to kind of compare them and what you can expect going in if you try these systems out.
Yeah. They're quite great.
Well said.
I know. I'm amazing.
Here for detail is
super detailed. Super detailed. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, that's the type of great commentary we get from you.
Yep.
On there. All right. Well, since you are such good with just details and you are so loquacious, let's start off with the Alien.
All right. So the Alien role-playing game made by Free League uses a type of D6 system. I don't know the official name. It's like a 2D6 system. But the whole purpose of the game, which is one of the things that we really, really enjoyed about it, was that it's designed to make the players feel helpless. So you get put in situations and you don't think that you're going to make it out of there alive. Now, a thing to just keep note of is there's two different modes to play this game. So there's obviously the main campaign mode where you can do what we normally expect from Dungeons and Dragons or any other role-playing game, where you can create a character and then just kind of keep on going until all of you decide to stop. But the mode that we tried, which normally in D&D you would call a one-shot, this system calls the cinematic mode, which when I was telling Alex about it, was expect to die. That's the purpose.
And ironically, we didn't.
Yeah, surprisingly, the two characters that they picked didn't die at the end. They were the only two left.
Literally everyone else died.
Everyone else died.
My wife definitely tried to shoot me in the back of the head as we were ending.
Yeah, that was a fun little bit, because it was okay, we're done. Here's the final log that you read. He reads the final log, and it's I'm going to shoot him in the head. Oh, okay. And so then we had some opposed rolls, and then she triggered a mechanic that's actually really interesting in this game, which is the panic roll. So over time, you get stress, and as you get stress, you add more d6s to your roll. It can make you succeed really well because you're focused. That's the idea. But if you roll a nat 1 on any of these,
and it's only a 1 in 6 shot because these are all d6s.
Yeah, and you don't get a second shot. There is a rule in the book. You get one go at each attempt, and that's it. Because you can't stop and have multiple tries. It's if that door doesn't open, shit, run.
Yep.
So she aimed at the back of his head and rolled a panic roll. It's okay, well, now you get to do a panic roll, and it's a 1 through 16. 1 through 6, you're fine, and then after that, it's varying levels of I'm scared, and I'm going to do something dumb. I'm going to freeze, I'm going to scream, I'm going to run, I'm going to duck for cover. Or what she rolled, which was a 27, and it's go catatonic. So...
And for anyone out there, she wasn't just going murder hobo. Her character was trying to cover up the alien infestation, and I was playing a Weyland Yutani android who knew about everything and felt really bad and wanted to save people. So I was doing everything I could to make sure everyone knew that this happened so we could end it.
Yeah, one of the things in this game is that player motivations are exceptionally important.
Yes.
So if you're going to do a cinematic one, I would say just run with the pre-made characters. You can tweak name or gender or whatever just to fit whoever you want to be, but just keep those the personality and the motivations in place, and generally the buddy system. Yeah. There's I like this guy, I get along with this guy, I hate this guy.
And I would go, unless you're planning on doing something that's more a traditional campaign, that you're making characters, I would like one that, like, almost like the GM of the game says, all right, here are, like, your motivations. You like this person, you don't like this one. Fill in all the, basically, the surface level details on your own will. But what type of job do you want? We can work with that. This is who you're allied with. This is your motivation, and this is what you can't let happen.
Yep.
Because
it really changes how the player dynamic works. There is a function in the game that if a player character goes too off the rails and becomes super antagonistic, that they become an NPC. Now that's if the session's going long enough.
Or you can just kill them.
Or you can just kill them because that's, completely on brand.
Just face hug them.
Yeah. Like, you can get someone face hugged, they can die from various reasons, or they can just be shot by the rest of the party. It kind of depends. But like, there's a mechanic where they become a hostile NPC, and then the DM takes them over. Obviously, you can do a house rule if you want, and if you're okay with PvP and your players are okay with PvP, you can do things a little bit differently.
One thing I would definitely recommend to anyone going into this, that this, if done right, should not be fully cooperative. People should go into there knowing that people's goals will be against each other, and they will be at odds. That doesn't mean full-on PvP hostile table, but it's going to be, my goals are different than yours, like how it is with, my goals were to save everyone because I feel bad. Oh, hi, kitty. And my wife's goals was to cover this up, and nobody outside of Wayland Yutani can know about this because we can't let this get out. Right. So that was going to put us at odds at some point during the adventure. And there was another one we were looking through the pre-gen characters. One person wanted to steal a live specimen to bring it with, to basically show Wayland Yutani that I can do this too. Yeah. And there was one who was like, my motivation is, I'm being tested by God, so I have to kill as many aliens as possible. Yep. Which it's really interesting, especially with, I think especially early on, until people really get a flow and can get in the system, or they've run it. Yep. Let whoever's running the game come up with the motivations.
Yeah, or use the pre-gens.
Yes. So, but if you've used that, or you want to try a different adventure, because... And I think it'd be better going into it without any of the players knowing. Because as we were flipping through pre-gens, we kind of knew a little bit about it. I would much prefer it as like, all right, here's the character we're deciding on, and that's all we know about it. Because that other intrigue and mystery and part of it.
Since we were learning the system, we knew meta about this character is a Wayland Yutani plant. This character is an android. Like, not everybody was you're not generally supposed to know those things going in. And as long as your players are good at not meta gaming, it's fine, really. But it helps for the immersion and the experience if you don't know that. Because there were several moments in the game where, because you didn't know what was going on, because of who your characters were, you were aware of what the xenomorph was, and a little bit of detail, so you could go into that. You've seen the movie, you at least know a little bit. But it was interesting going in and not knowing what the hell's going on, because the way this mission began is shit happened and you're coming back and the comms aren't working, you don't know what's going on. You walk in, nothing's working.
But that was a fun thing that my character being a company android, I knew everything that was going on. I knew the history of the Wayland Yutani with the xenomorphs, all that. So I could play into that, all right, here we go. And as soon as I took the ex-colonial Marine character, who was my friend, and we were going to go search for weapons, I basically said, all right, what do you know about this? And basically, do you know any of the people who are on the Colonial Marines and Aliens or things like that? Trying to bring ties to it. And I'm like, all right, I can basically inform you of what's going on. And I could use my knowledge of the alien universe because I was playing a character that had that, which I think was really cool. And we could play into that dynamics of, yes, this is bad, this is not, don't mess with this because you're going to be in trouble. Well, hello, Cleo. Do you want to be a part of this too?
No.
Meh.
Yeah. But also the cinematic mode, like the way that the module, at least in the book, is written, it allows for some very, very descriptive. So one thing that I would say is, if you're planning on running this with like the realism that this kind of story asks for, make sure that your players are aware, because there's blood and
Yes,
gore. And
this is definitely
this-
one.
this
Do not
is-
play with a non-mature audience
Right.
because it wouldn't be done right if you left it out. But it's not something you want to surprise on people.
No.
If they're not going to expect it, they're not comfortable with it. Please make sure everyone at your table is prepared for what
Yeah.
this is.
Yeah, because it definitely delves into the body horror and like what we expect from an alien film is
exactly
what it does. Like it's very, very good at getting that feeling.
Yes, very good. This feels so much like playing it. I felt very much like the original Alien or Alien Isolation. That is the type of feel that I felt going through this. And
Yeah.
as we were discussing the station and everything, I was actually picturing the halls and playing Alien Isolation because that was a really cool visual that I could use for reference. And
Yeah, it just it describes it very, very well. So and as I've said, the cinematic mode, the one shots, they're designed to be cinematic. So it gives you like sections of how to describe things and like some of the things that I did have happen weren't what the book said. So like there was one point where there was someone who was face hugged, which players missed, and so just took her with them.
translation, I missed it.
Oh yeah, I was gonna point blame. There it is.
I missed it.
So they left these characters by themselves, and book mechanics are it's up to the GM when the chest burster happens, and so I figured it was most appropriate for that to happen off camera, and everyone else is dead now. And it was when Marion came up on that, it was pretty horrific.
Yes.
So like, just keep in mind that like it's designed to be horrible, and as long as like that's what you're going for, you can do it really, really well.
Also, it was really weird that this system, I feel like it's a good idea to break the cardinal rule. Split the party.
Yes,
you're
it's
doing
entertaining
this.
to do that.
But also know as if you're running this game, it's going to be a lot to manage because you're doing that. But the smart thing is don't go clomping around as a big group of people.
Yeah.
Almost like ringing a dinner bell. Hey, we're here.
Yeah.
Come get us. Like,
Which is what happened when they all came back together. Like
Yeah.
they came back together and there was an alien like right there.
Yep.
Another mechanic worth mentioning is because sometimes the players are really careful because they know the universe and so they're being very, very, very careful. There is a mechanic in the game where you can just simply, this is going way too easy. I am going to activate a xenomorph and send one after them and have it start hunting.
Leo, not right now. Come on. No, not right now. Come on.
So
There you go.
you don't have to do that. Like if your players are getting a little bit freaked out, you don't have to do it. But if they're becoming complacent, that's what the rule says.
Yes.
If they're becoming complacent or it's too easy, you can start throwing crap at them. Like you don't have to oh no, do I have this? And as long as like the situation that you're in allows for several xenomorphs. Like obviously, if you're in a situation where there's only one, well, you just can change where its location is.
Yeah.
Like how Alien Isolation sometimes cheats as to where the alien is. It's like I left it behind several hallways. Drops in front of you. Shit.
Or it conveniently is always following you to whatever section of the station you're in. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was just all the way over there. Can you please go attack people over there? For once, can I please just go get something?
There's some working Joes making noise over there. Go over there.
Yeah, right?
Over
Please
here, I'm
go attack
fine.
those stupid working Joes. They're
Yeah.
awful.
But overall, this was a really, really fun system to play. There are other expansions to make it more in depth. So there's like a section on the Colonial Marines, so you can like do more combat. You can fight these things. The aliens obviously have some pretty nasty attacks.
Yep.
So like our players bumped into one, and it straight up murdered someone like right there.
It murdered the ex-colonial marine.
Yeah, it's like they like lined up a couple shots, missed.
Yeah.
At least the colonial marine did. He missed badly, and then the alien just like grabbed him and dragged him away.
And
so
the alien basically cheats and has a turn after everyone.
yeah. So like xenomorphs get like three actions per round basically. So you like space them in between your players. So like these things are dangerous. They're designed to be dangerous. You don't want to mess with them, and that's part of the joy of this system. Is like this isn't just like, oh no, I found an ogre and now I need to fight it, and just use action economy to my advantage. No.
You will never have action economy.
You never have action economy advantage unless you outnumber this thing, like massively. But then at that point, you're making a lot of noise. There might be another one. Or a facehugger pops out of the vent.
Yeah.
Or multiple other horrible things go wrong.
One thing I would recommend as well, at least for like maps and stuff, get handouts.
Yeah.
So because the only maps were in the source book itself, and you couldn't really kind of have that out because of how intricate these stations are.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to just go, oh, there's a door on your left or door on your right. Like you need something visual to like, all right.
There's like diagonal lines in certain sections.
Yeah, where does this corridor go? Where are the staircases? It's a very intricate thing. Have some way to mitigate that with your players. It will save a big headache. I actually just found like, all right, what's the name of this one? Okay, and I found a thing online and I put it up on a computer screen.
So threw the map up on a computer screen and just referenced that.
Because most of the time you would have a way to know what the map is. It's not something like, oh, you need a fog of war. No, you would have a schematic of the ship or the station wherever you are.
Yeah. Now, if you're deciding to like do something like Alien Isolation, you're like, oh, I'm on a space station I've never been on.
Yes, that'd be different.
You can do that differently. Like you can do the fog of war stuff and reveal things slowly.
But that would be a cool thing.
That would be
still
a cool
have
mechanic that I would be
of it.
Yeah, but either way, like if you've played Alien Isolation, you know how you can like reveal the map slowly, but you still have the map that you can look at. So at least because you're in a futuristic society and you have technology, it's worth being able to just look at the map.
Yep.
And be like, okay. And also these maps tend to be labeled with like sections so that like you can say, I want to go to section B1. And so then the GM can go like, okay, B1, what's over there? If you're using a pre-made module, it'll tell you if there is a xenomorph over there. Like, are you going to get murdered when you walk into that room? Because at least with the beginning modules, all of the aliens are passive. But so they're not like actively going to look for you until you walk in the room, and then they're alerted to your presence. So which is why your stealthing was very helpful, because you didn't go places where they were.
Yeah, and we had someone who had a motion tracker as well, so we were doing a lot of checks in directions. Then we ended up getting another one, and that helped until there was literally an alien just waiting at an airlock for someone to come that way.
Yep.
Because apparently it happened before, so it's like, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to find someone down this stupid hallway.
Yep.
And it definitely found us.
That's when the Marine died.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Overall, I'd say it is a very fun system, and I cannot wait to try it some more.
Yeah, I want to play some more.
Like I think that's the mark of a good system, that as soon as you're done doing something, like, I want to do that again.
Yeah, and like the way that it ended, it was super satisfying. Like, yes, all of the NPCs died. Okay.
Yep.
Because we were only playing with 2 players, like the PCs survived. But that's not always going to be the case.
It won't always be the case. And one of them, after she had that panic roll, went catatonic, and my character, being an android, just put her in one of the cryo tubes, and I just started trying to send a beacon out to Colonial Marines. It was a really cool, like, cinematic end of the adventure of,
Yeah.
this sucked. This is not good. We need to... And it'd be kind of cool to do almost like a two-parter on that we get that expansion and we can come back as the Marines.
As the Marines back to Hadley's Hope.
Yeah, that would be fun. So there's always like a two-part. You have like the initial survivor thing, and then when we go in to do that one, it's all right, what information do we know as the Marines or whatever going in?
Yeah, that could be
like, so we can make almost every adventure a two-part. That would be really fun.
And you can always change it up with your players. Like, okay, we want to do the survivor bit first here. And then the next time you meet, you'd be like, okay, do we want to do the Marines with this one? Or do we want to do another survivor on another planet? And then you can, like...
Yeah. Or if you have certain players that prefer the survival horror or some that prefer, like, the more combat-y part.
Yeah, you could even split it up. Like, the Marines have to deal directly with the dumbass decisions of
and
the players in the
basically
first
any
session.
of the information they know is only from what, like, we can give them.
Yeah.
After, like, so you could do something that's really fun and dynamic, especially if you're doing like a fun like group setting on there. To almost like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We got one group, one over there, two different scenarios, and then after we do that scenario, you switch, and now you're the Marines responding to each other's scenario. There's a lot of fun ways to do this, and I would recommend a small group with this.
Yeah, do not do a big party with this. Like 4 people maximum.
I would even say less than that, because people will die, and I don't want people to run out of characters and are just kind of sitting there. Because you don't want to just keep adding people to scenario. It doesn't make it.
No.
And I think if you go through a few people and you're dead, you're like, oh no, but you're then kind of toward the end, and that's okay. But if you're going through and you're the first one clocked and there's nothing you can do, you're like, well, now what do I do?
Yeah. You're dead. You're very dead.
You're very dead.
There's no coming back from that. There's no resurrection. You're dead.
But overall, really fun. Check it out. Definitely check it out.
Yeah, this was a game that like I saw sitting out and I was like, Alien. That sounds like that could be entertaining.
Yep.
Picked it up and I was like, okay, we need to try this. Got the Game Master screen, which by the way, if you've ever seen a normal D&D screen, it has like, stats and all these other things. This has the injury mechanics just front and center. That is the main thing that you have is injury rolls, panic rolls, and then there's some other stuff. But most of
the main thing of it is
the main is the injury rolls. Like there's so many things where you can just die. Like the last 4 of, I think it's like you roll 2d6, and if you roll a 6 and a 6, like you're just stabbed through the heart and you're just dead.
Yeah. Say, going on, if the Alien RPG wants to kill you, Call of Cthulhu wants to maim you horribly. And just starting with new people doing just the stuff out of the starter set, and if you're new to Call of Cthulhu 7th edition, this is technically 7th edition, before that, I would recommend on it, because it's very unique how you do it. There's 3 books in there. The first one is kind of like this little choose-your-own-adventure where it's just you kind of doing that. It's very interesting because it's kind of weird going back and forth on there, and I do like, I'm not used to doing this at all. Weird making my own rolls. Like, if you're new to anything like this, it's really cool. Mm-hmm. Then book 2 is the introductory rule set, which it is the smallest of the 3 booklets that's in there, which is funny. And then book 3 has a few different little adventures on there. I put Peter and I said like Haley through the first one called Paper Chase, which is the same one I put my wife and then Jim through before on there. Yep. And then it was kind of a fun, good intro to the mechanics and everything. Mm-hmm. Then we started the next adventure, and it got a little late, so Haley went home and said, this would be a good time to talk about it. One of the interesting things about Call of Cthulhu is there is no classes or specialties in there. You have different things, like the different backgrounds, like someone might be a student, some might be a professor, some might be the definitely not knockoff Indiana Jones, Nevada Jones in the pre-gens, with the hat and everything. But the players in Call of Cthulhu are called investigators. Because that's really what you are. You have problems going on and you investigate it. That's what you do. And it's a really fun, different mechanic on how everything goes, that when we're playing things like D&D, that you're expecting a lot of different details and things like that. But the fun mystery of everything going on is so much fun. And I love how customizable it is. I was running it based on there as it is, like in the New England, very Lovecraftian, 1920s vibe, cool. But doing something, you could do this, I could do this in our town right here, and it would still work.
Yeah.
Which would honestly might make some things even creepier when you're traveling to that house down the road, because there's a really creepy house just north of me. When you go up, and they're just there, like, we could definitely put this stuff in that house, and nothing would change, and probably would make everyone feel even more unsettled, because this could happen. Especially, and you don't even have to stick to the 1920s vibe. You could do it in the modern day if you wanted to. You just gotta add a few more computers and weird stuff going on, or things like Stranger Things, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like the Call of Cthulhu system is a D100 based system where you have the different stats and everything. When you roll, you have to get under your stat to succeed. If you're over, you fail. You have the chance to get boost die where you can kind of choose the better the tens place or add or subtract different things, which I think it works really well. Each stat has 3 stats on it. You have the normal one. Then you have kind of the moderate difficulty that is half of it, and then you have almost the impossible challenge, which is 1/5 of it.
Yes.
So it's
very rough, very fast.
So it's very easy to set difficulty of checks on there without having to worry about, what's the DC, what's this, what's that.
Yeah, what's the crit rating of this thing? Whatever.
And anyone who has any experience in tabletop games should be able to pick it up and run with it very quickly.
Yeah. I hadn't touched it until tonight, and it was pretty easy to pick up.
Yeah, especially playing, you'll know it's so intuitive that you can just get in there and do what you do. And running the games, you just got to make sure, all right, flip through these things so I can have a general idea on what they're going to do. So what a lot happens in Call of Cthulhu, you're presented a scenario, and then before you go off tracking, the adventures recommend that you do research on there so people can try to find different clues. You can just go, screw research, I'm just going to go in, and you could probably do okay with a lot of it, but there's going to be sometimes...
You also might go insane.
Yep, but there's also be some times where you might really want to research it. It's really up to your players on what they want to do and the different things that you can do, and you can get some fun roleplay aspects in it. Like in the second adventure on there, they're about to meet a character who's the head of the library at the university, who is actually a character from a Lovecraftian novel.
Yep.
And it's cool that these different things that have been happening upon the different universes, not universes, the different settings are going to flow together, that there's going to be someone who's going to be like, oh, I kind of know what's going on, this isn't good, or oh, things like that. And you can really make the world feel alive, even though it's this really almost isolating feel of that, but it feels like an actual lived-in world.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a lived-in world. You definitely have one of the things that it does really well is having people be somewhat standoffish about stuff. So you have like if you're trying to do your investigation checks, basically. Talk to people, and then they're like, no, I'm not talking to you anymore. But it feels more natural the way that it does it, because they're reacting to the things that you do. It's not just oh, you failed the save or you failed the check.
Yeah. And I like how in this one, how there's certain mechanics on different checks that, at least how I do it, and it's put in some of the modules, that if they have a check and they fail the first one, if they can justify to me that they're coming at something from a different angle, I am definitely okay with them trying again. Really? Thank you, fun. Sit there and silence you right away since you're just going to be a pain. Quiet.
Phones.
Yeah.
Technology.
That's why we're playing in the 20s, so to deal with these stupid rectangles. That was a great section right there. Thank you, phone, for distracting me. Justifying a different avenue. So they went up to a person there's a gardener in a cemetery. Mm-hmm. And if they go and they have a check, they succeed, cool, he'll talk to them. But if they fail that one, if they can justify to me how they're going to go and do it differently. So instead of like, oh, hey, talk to me normally, or I'm going to go try to charm him, I'm going to try to intimidate him, I'm going to try to do something else in the scenario to try to get that conversation going. And it's a cool way that, all right, so they failed the first one and are just kind of like, okay, it didn't happen. But say they come like, all right, we're going to try to intimidate him to make him talk to us, and they failed that one again, I probably would have made that character run away calling for the police.
Yeah.
And there'd be different ways that you can make the consequences and things that you would get from a lived-in world. Exactly why it sounds to you, Jim. Stop it, we're recording. And there's a lot of flexibility in how you want to do it. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest unique mechanics of Call of Cthulhu is this sanity feature. Yep. So there's a stat of the main stats called, I think they call it power. Yeah, POW on there. And that is one of the main measures of your sanity score. Sanity score is going to be like health. It will go up and down. And before anyone freaks out, sanity in Call of Cthulhu is not a derogatory statement of mental illness. No. Just like hit points in these things are not in things of injuries and things like that. It's just a game mechanic way to track coming up with things that are not of the world and crazy. Like, if you came up face to face with an Eldritch horror, you would probably have some stress about it, and this is just a way to
you might have a mild freak out moment there for a second.
I think most of us would if we came face to face with freaking Cthulhu. So it's when you roll a sanity thing and you fail it, you decrease the sanity score. If you decrease that score enough, thank you, Cleo. If you decrease that score enough, you start to get different things. Like your character will get permanent phobias. They will get different tics or manic
episodes.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say full episodes, but like tics.
Yeah.
Like I've seen consequences where someone kept thinking that bugs were always attacking them or something like that, and they always felt like they were going back to their arm because they felt it was there. Or if it gets so bad, they might just go full catatonic, and now that character is out. Because one thing you do not want to get in Call of Cthulhu is in combat. Because there is no healing system in this. Injuries heal like they would in the real world. So fighting needs to be the last resort. If I don't fight, I'll die. Because if you get hurt in it, you are going to be held up for a while. And depending how the adventure is going, that could take you out of the adventure.
Yeah. Alien actually works similarly. Yeah. You do have a med kit, so you have a little bit of benefit, but you also get the slow recovery.
Yeah, you're
not quite to that level.
Yeah, you're a step away from 4 humors and bloodletting. So don't get anything too bad.
Yeah.
Other than that, I would say from my experience playing Alien, it was really fun and easy to get into. What was your experience playing Call of Cthulhu for the first time?
So I thought that this was really easy to get into. The D100 system is fairly straightforward. Once you wrap your head around, I need to roll under this. Okay, that's it. Obviously, there's some mechanics that we didn't really get into, like the combat, like the weapons. They have damage rolls and all that. But the bonus rolls are pretty straightforward. It's just like, hey, you got to roll bonus. It's this. There you go.
Yep.
So the rolling was really easy. The way that we were doing it, we were using the pre-generated characters, which actually helped us to just slide right into the role play really easily, because you didn't have to sit there and think about, like, what's my character's thoughts on supernatural, or how am I going to react to this? What's my background? What's the justification for some of my stat skills? So like my character was, related to the mob. So it's like, you have the ability to lockpick. It's like, well, why do I have that? Oh wait, my dad's a mobster. Okay, that makes sense.
And then we had the really fun thing. I'm like, all right, we're gonna try to break into this office. You're trying to break in the main office of a very crowded open library.
Yeah. It's like, no.
This isn't like something, I'm at this door on the side. No, this is, you walk in. Oh, look, the head of the office is right there in like the main atrium. What are you doing?
That was pretty funny. So, and then like, but because of the role play, like it had us engaged enough that we weren't like, there were only a few times where we broke character to like double check a rule, which was more of I don't know if my character can do this, or asking a quick question. Or I don't remember.
It is a very good system to try to stay in character, a lot of it, because even asking simple questions, you can do it as a character. Like, all right, we're going to try to do this. Like, all right, I'm looking for different things in the library. It's really fun to stay in there. You don't have to break that immersion too often.
Yeah, like for instance, we were given handouts of like a journal entry, and being the student, I was the one who was like, the professor's going like, there's stuff to read. You read it. So I read it in character, which was just fun.
It was really fun.
So like, the character's reading and then occasionally stopping and giving like, oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. Slight spoilers to the starter set adventure Paper Chase, but when they woke up and they saw a ghoul sitting across from them reading a book, they were having this whole big back and thing, and they were like almost looking to me for things, and I kept telling them, this ghoul is sitting on there, notices you, and is just reading.
Yeah.
Like, he is not put off by your presence at all. He's just like, all right, fine.
Yeah,
and he's just sitting there doing
just laying there on the ground, like,
notice they wake up, he looks and goes back to his book. Like, it's and it was just kind of fun having him sit there and almost like bicker amongst themselves, like, what are we gonna do? There's a freaking ghoul. What's going on? And it was very
felt
fun.
like a scene out of like one of the Mummy movies or something. We're just sitting there going like, what do we do? I don't know.
And we're just like, and he's just like, until he gets like addressed directly, he's like, I'm here to read my book. I don't care what about them.
And when he finally interacted with us, it was, my character was like, he can probably hear us. And then he was like, yes, I can. And then we started talking to him, and then things went from there. But like it was entertaining how you just let us like bicker in character for a while.
And I'm just sitting there, and Haley kept looking to me for like, well, now what? I'm like, I told you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting. You two are lying on the ground after just being knocked out by what they call the miasma. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you all doing right now? You just woke up and you're seeing a ghoul and you're alone in a graveyard. I feel like you need to... What is your reaction? What are you all doing?
Yeah.
You're bickering like an old married couple right now. What are you actually going to do?
It was very entertaining. And then coming up with a solution for what the ghoul wanted was also pretty... At least for me, I found that really entertaining.
But the best part of this entire thing, they were doing it in character. I'm like, I'm not going to stop this.
Yeah, we weren't stopping to be like, okay, so I'm going to go over here, and then you're going to go over here. It was like, no, Professor, you go that way, and I'm going to go this way, and then we'll act like we're doing this.
And I'm just sitting there. They spend 15 minutes, and we were at the conclusion
15
section.
15 minutes arguing about how to, like,
and things that didn't matter at all. But they were having so much fun, and they were doing it all in character. I'm like, I'm not going to stop this at all. This is great.
And then what my character ended up doing was just so stupid. It's like that you almost pretend that there's a thief.
You almost hurt yourself.
Yeah, I know. I fell down like a small gourd. I fell in a ditch, and like it's like I was gonna like, oh no, I tripped. So I like threw myself in there, and I almost like cracked my head on a rock.
Yeah.
It's great.
One thing that I would caution certain types of players that are like maybe like completionists or try to really go into a power fantasy, these two systems will not be the ones for you. Mm-hmm. You will probably find it very frustrating that you're dealing with a lot of without and stuff like that, and it will
like for instance in the Alien game, there's a lot of explicit comments about like you know how you can do an investigation check and look for stuff. So there's a table. You can roll and like you find cigarettes. You find because it's very much set in the 1970s film Alien and the sequel. So like you can find cigarettes. You can find a book. You can find a gun. But it explicitly says no reloads. So like resources are limited. So like you could like you can't just like, oh well, I'm gonna unload my clip into this thing. Well, you don't have any bullets anymore.
Yeah.
You're gonna die now. So yeah, it like if you think that you're gonna be able to like, hey, I'm gonna go in here and like fireball everything because I have like 13 spell slots and I can do it. No, you don't. You basically imagine like you have one attack, and that's pretty much it. And like
good luck.
Yeah, there's like one of the things that these games do really, really well, and I think we touched on this a little bit, is the feeling of like helplessness and impending doom.
Yes.
At least with the beginning adventures with Call of Cthulhu, you didn't get as much of the impending doom. Like at least the paper chase one, there wasn't the like, oh no, we're gonna die.
It was that sense of otherworldly.
Yeah, it was the otherworldly. Something's weird. The next adventure that we started, there is the impending like, oh no, we're gonna die. We don't know when or how it's gonna happen, but something bad is going to happen soon. And in the Alien game, like you've got the aliens who are potentially actively looking for you.
Yeah. And you're just like, ow, that hurt. Thank you. It's one of those that you can't sit and rest. And unlike when you're trying to do like a scary session of like D&D or something like that, you don't have a fireball in your back pocket. You don't have a long rest to save you.
No,
when you're doing
like healing is like a non thing.
You don't have this ability that is your get out of jail free card. You have how fast your legs can take you, how well you can try to hide, and everything you can do, the xenomorph can do better. Or the eldritch abomination that's been unleashed upon the world. It's very cool and interesting, and for anyone looking for a different style of game, I think we could have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, like this, like you can have a lot of fun as long as you're aware that this is like horror and that's the whole point of it. Like it's just supposed to be scary and make you feel helpless. Like as long as you're fully aware of that and that's what you want, this is a lot of fun.
I would definitely recommend to anyone who wants a kind of horror or mystery theme, check these out instead of trying to adapt a different system to that, because while those systems are very fun, we love them.
Yeah.
It won't feel the same when you have people who can take on a Elder Dragon and be fine. It's not going to they're not going to go in with that sense of dread when you're literally a guy.
Yeah.
You're literally a guy. Oh, I'm a college student. What the hell?
Yep.
I'm
19 years old. I'm walking into I don't know what.
Exactly.
Something bad happens. I'm dead.
Any final thoughts on the two systems that we've only scratched the surface? We definitely want to go and bring more updates as we get to play more with them.
Especially as we try like different expansions, and different like scenarios, because there's lots of things to get into. Like with the Alien game, there's like a whole section where you can bring in colonial marines, or you can do all sorts of stuff. You can do scenarios like the original film where you're on just a lone spaceship. You can do what we did, which is more like Aliens, where you're on a colony. Like there's lots of things you can do, and like I want to try to see how they work, because there's lots of like that's the thing. One of like kind of my takeaway from this is a good indicator of a system of whether or not it's a good system is if you walk away from it going, I want to play more of that.
Yes.
I agree. And both of these systems, like we walked away from these going like, that was fun and I want to do that again.
Yes, I want to play more. These are definitely systems that I want to keep in my library and I want to break out, because I think it's going to be a fun change of pace on the normal game that we'll play. I think you can have a lot of fun with it, and that's the thing. We're having fun, and that's a great thing for it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a campaign. Like,
Mhm.
I think for these particular kinds of games, it's better to do them in like shorter chunks.
Yeah.
So like, you know how my D&D game has been going for 10 years. Don't do that with these.
Or even if you do that, it's like, yeah, but we do one session every couple months
or something.
just so it never feels like it gets stale. Because I feel like as soon as it feels stale, it will lose what's best about it. And
a lot of that is that novelty of like it's just a totally different feel.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that we really, really liked about these is they were just different. Like the focus was different. It wasn't just that I'm playing a fantasy and I'm just using my imagination and doing other things. And like I want to be more powerful than I am in reality. It's more like I'm going to be put in another universe, but this other universe it's not necessarily better than ours. So like it at least for me it was really more of the I get to play in a universe that is not friendly to me, but I want to play in this universe, and so you get to you really get that feel, and I really like when games are more immersive. Of you feel like you're in the universe. It's not just like here's a system and we've slapped a franchise skin on it.
Yeah, and that's the one thing definitely. Alien is not some other system that they just slapped the Alien franchise on and called it a day. They put a lot of time and effort into making it feel unique. Because even when we're talking about two kind of horror systems, they both feel unique from each other. Yeah. And that, I think, is a great thing. Say, anyone who has played them, let us know things like that. We definitely want to talk about these because we want to see and do more. Thank you all for listening to us on this one. I'm Alex. That's Peter. And have a great rest of your day.